Anime, be that shows or games, or well, mostly games, take up a huge aspect in my daily life. But when I was little, anime was just only just as big a part of my life. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, it was all on the television and I enjoyed it for hours on end. But during those many hours on watching anime, a cartoon sometimes slipped in there as well, which was Tintin. A Belgian cartoon that followed a reporter named Tintin, and in true kids cartoon fashion, it tended to go a bit overboard. Which was fun, exploring various countries all over the world and even going to space. What is not to love there as a kid? But as the cartoon and comic ended, Tintin started to fade into history. And when a new Tintin game was announced, I was probably one of the very few people hyped for it. I mean, the trailer and promises for the games were not that mind-blowing or anything, and I would be surprised that on my little platform here on YouTube, my video on it would get any form of success. But still, I want to play it, and therefore review it. Not just to add the game to my collection here on YouTube, but also that in case the game is good, then I can recommend it to the handful of people that watched it. So in any case, this is Tintin Reporter Cigars of the Pharaoh. In Tintin Reporter Cigars of the Pharaoh, we get a story that is exactly what you should expect from any episode or comic of Tintin. We follow a young reporter named Tintin and his dog Snowy, who go on these crazy adventures solving mysteries and of course reporting on them as a reporter does. In this adventure, he and Snowy meets a professor named Sarcophagus and end up in Egypt exploring a long-lost tomb. In this tomb, he finds boxes full of cigars, but why are they here? Where do they come from? And whose are they? Questions for reporter Tintin to find out. And to find the answers to these questions and to figure out the mystery surrounding these cigars, we have to travel across the world, meet various characters and face many puzzles and dangers. It's overall a story premise that you could expect from a series that is mainly focused on children. And again, as a fan of the series, this sounds like at the beginning of a Tintin adventure, which it is, a very good one at that as well, as it not only nails its premise of what a Tintin adventure should be, but its presentation is also on point. For you see, Tintin has a very particular and even iconic art style, and doing that justice in 3D is not a simple task. The reboot movie that came out all the way back in 2011 was right on track with a transition of this art style to 3D. And the game, while being a little bit more cartoony, managed to create a similar 3D art style that does the original justice. It's very colorful, lively, and despite it being 3D, captures the simplistic atmosphere and looks of the comics and cartoon. The only problem that you might run in here is that if you are not used to the English dub and naming, things will feel a bit uncanny at the start. But other than that, it's everything you could and should expect from a Tintin game. It's a mystery solver, and unlike the last game I reviewed, this mystery is an actual mystery being solved throughout the game. Solving this mystery is mostly done via gameplay, which really captures and elevates three themes of Tintin that are present in the story. Those are puzzles, investigation, and action. The puzzles you will run into throughout your entire playthrough are not that difficult and mostly fun because of their theme and variation. Just simple things like simple tile turning to create a picture or to fill in a code you have to decode based on light switches or something like that. And then there are some puzzles that are a lot bigger and resemble almost a classic action-adventure puzzle, like moving statues around to open a door, or a modern look of an escape room, where multiple puzzles solve a bigger one. This is also where the investigation aspect overlaps a little bit. As a reporter, you delve deep for the truth, and being stuck and solving literal puzzles is not everything that a reporter does. Some puzzles in the game require your reporter skills to interact with characters, ask questions, and match up stories to see if someone is lying or hiding the truth from you. Though, to be frank, as an adult, these type of puzzles are very clear from the start. You know very easily the who and what, and you are more busy with finding the correct sequence of interactions to progress than actually solving the overarching puzzle. Thankfully, these puzzles aren't very long and avoid a problem, and the reason why I usually avoid playing puzzle-heavy games. Moments where a game spends too much time on a single puzzle are game killers for me. as the experience slows almost completely down, and the longer it takes to solve it, the longer this break will be on. Again, here this is avoided thanks to the simplicity of the puzzles, but also the switching up between the themes. As instead of ending up in the next puzzle room once you completed another one, it instead throws you into one of these QTE-filled chases. These chases are the action of the game. They are simple, fast, and just a lot of fun. It adds some action into it, and again more or less function like a palate cleanser from the puzzles and the investigations. Each of these chases are the same, but the usage of setting and maps make each of them stand out individually. And even when the chases themselves start to feel a little bit repetitive, the game throws a little curveball at you in the form of snowy stealth missions. This gameplay element was a big surprise, but a welcome one, as we actually get to play as Snowy to help Tintin with his investigation or when he's in a rough spot. The idea behind it is just great. I mean, I love the camera change and the dog-nose POV, and we get to do stealth. Again, changing up the gameplay pace quite a bit. We have puzzles, investigation, fast chases, and also stealth. And throughout the game, these elements are divided very equally and change up the pace at the right time. None of these elements are groundbreaking, I know that, but they do make the gameplay interesting enough to keep the fun in them. And in my opinion, that's what it's all about. So that actually sounds like a quite decent and fun game, yet it sits on mixed reviews on Steam and nobody is really talking about it. And that's because, well, the game has two big problems. Problem one is one that you already have noticed from the footage I have been showing you. This game's performance is jank, and it remains jank for the entire playthrough. Getting this kind of footage shown in a review gives a very bad impression, and well, it was the same exact impression I got when I first booted up the game. The very first cutscene in this game suffered so badly because of the bad performance that the audio and cutscene got out of sync. And at some point I was even questioning if my PlayStation 4 was frozen as the cutscene was not progressing at all. This of course completely ruined the story the game tried to set up at the beginning. And to add insult to injury, then the game proceeds to throw you into one of these QTE chases, which you instantly fail because you have missed the first button press because the game wasn't done loading yet. Which not only feels unfair, but it's just annoying as you can't avoid it, and it's not your fault. And speaking of annoyances, if the game does run fine, each gameplay aspect starts to show its own annoying faults and rough design choices. Chases can have vague instructions of where to go or randomly change camera angles, suddenly making you run the wrong way and lose because of that. And controlling vehicles in these chases feels very clunky, making maneuvering them a bit of a challenge. On top of that, you can randomly clip the terrain, instantly losing as well, or be stopped dead in your track only to lose in a short amount of time after. And stealth is probably the worst one of them all in terms of small annoyances. When playing stealth games, it's important to have proper situation awareness, to recognize hiding spots and to understand patterns of enemies. And well, the game tries to give you all that, but fails very badly at that. It's a 50-50 chance to get decent situation awareness when playing as Snowy. Which sounds already bad enough, but playing as Tintin is a lot worse, as usually you gotta wing it more or less and hope you guessed right for the moment to move. Spots to hide or get cover from are there, but are not really properly marked out from all the other things in the levels. But let's say you do find the correct furniture that can be used as a hiding spot, like for example a desk. Well, too bad that the next same looking desk you find cannot be used to hide under. Even though you did do it before and there's clearly space to do so, but an invisible wall keeps you from it. And then there's the case that you get spotted. That is usually the most annoying part of this stealth gameplay, as it usually results in a direct game over. Maps are not designed to take multiple routes to your destination or to give options for an escape when spotted. Stealth maps here are just one-directional maps to the point that it made me wonder, why are these moments not just timed QTEs as well? But to round things up, if you want to buy this game, you need to ask a simple question. How much of a fan am I of Tintin? Because if I wasn't a fan of the series, I probably would not have put up so easily with the loads and loads of annoyances that this game has. Thankfully, the penalty of losing a chase or getting spotted in a stealth session is very low. You almost respawn at the spot you lost. But if the game was just slightly more harsher on that aspect, I would have dropped this game as well, as I would not have put up with it at that point. And it really pains me to say that, because putting the performance issues and annoyances to the side, this adventure game can be a lot of fun, and it does not matter if you're a fan of the series or not. It's simple, quick and easy fun, but that's only in moments in between performance issues and annoying gameplay design choices. But when you get one of those in-between moments, this game is fun. It's similar to how a Lego game works, but instead of Lego, it's more of a child version of Indiana Jones. But in the end, I can't recommend this game, not even to a big Tintin fan, because it's ultimately just a very big, annoying game to get through.